coming in to see Roxy Paine's show.
Roxy Paine, Denuded Lens.
Denuded Lens is the name of the show.
Denuded Lens, that's an interesting title. Before you care at all what you're looking at the making of these objects. Crafted, wood carved, to the nth degree, trompe l'oeil, right? So your first thing is you just get that snap.
Trick the eye, fool the eye. This one's also about looking, yeah?
Right.
It's not a picture, it's a sculpture, but it's essentially sort of somehow or other trying to problematize the idea of looking.
Now, okay, I've got to step back for a minute here and voice a problem I have with this kind of work in general, which is that it seems so much about splashy making. There's an entertainment quotient here, the spectacle. You know, so many people will just say, look how well made this is.
It's populist work.
I've got nothing against popularity, but populism where you're going for that makes me uncomfortable.
On the other hand, I think when we walk into this room, this much larger piece of trompe l'oeil does something different.
We're looking through a frame, right? This is all about pictures as much as it's about sculpture, it seems to me.
Well, you know what? You took the words right out of my mouth. Clearly, it's a sculpture like the other pieces we were looking at, but it reads like a painting.
Well, it uses perspective. It uses all the tricks of weird anamorphic perspective to do its job, and that's a pictorial device. There's a bunch of theoreticians and philosophers of vision who would say that this is actually incoherent philosophically. Like, what does it mean to have a skewed perspectival sculpture? Well, sculpture's not perspectival. There's nowhere you can go to see it correctly. It's a weird collision of sculpture and painting.
Even when we're back here in the corner, let's squeeze into the corner like idiots. We can't get the right perspective on this thing.
Yeah, to make this thing come together is the normal world.
Right.
It's just straight trompe l'oeil, right? It never comes together, even though it's got every signifier, every sign that it's supposed to come together.
Right. This, which is about 18 feet, mimics the 80 feet we might expect to have a space like this.
Which feels like 1,000 feet. When you're walking through these security stations and airports, it feels like it'll never end.
This piece of sculpture does a really good job of describing our emotional or anxious state that we come to when we encounter this, right? So in that way, with all the distortions involved, it's like a weird piece of realism, isn't it?
Right.
Now, one thing I want to talk about is why a diorama?
I think this as a diorama of the war on terror. Normally dioramas are celebratory, you know, victory over the Russians or something. Well, this is the war on terror, and it's skewed, and it makes no sense, and it's bullshit. Basically,
this makes us sort of like feel like we've just stepped into like that movie Pleasantville. It also sort of gives us a notion of sort of the human behind it, because this was designed.
Yeah, someone made this.
Yes.
So even the handcrafting of this is there behind the war on terror in a sense, right?
The one thing I would say about a piece like this, and I'd say it more about this piece than the other two pieces of sculpture that we're looking at, is that this does feel realistic, a part of realism in a really constructive way. And that is that essentially what realism is really supposed to do is not just give you a picture of the real, it's supposed to critique the real. And I think this...
have leverage on the real.
Exactly, and I think this piece does that. I think this is a tremendous work of art.
These things throw space off completely. I'm a good, 10 feet, 12 feet in front of this sculpture, but it feels as though I'm right up against it.
Large, grandiose, beautifully put together.
There's an amazing play of space.
Twisty, torqued in the way that it's supposed to.
It takes you somewhere else. Perspective always does that, but usually we don't feel ourselves being manipulated through space.
And it manages to send us visually, and again, mentally, someplace else.
But this piece actually pushes and pulls on space like no other sculpture.